This is the Digital Trust Podcast. In every episode, we strive to bring support to those of you who serve on the front lines and in the trenches of data and technology. We endeavor to bring understanding to the under-resourced and underappreciated, help remove your stress, and provide relief to your pain. Welcome to the Digital Trust Podcast. Sit down with us as we give you hard-hitting advisory conversations to help you build digital trust with your stakeholders and clients, and actionable takeaways to help you become a digitally trustworthy organization.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Digital Trust Podcast. My name is Christian Redshaw. I am your host today, along with my co-host, Zach Eikenberry. Zach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome. I'm fantastic, too, because we have Grady Johnston, who is the Global Director of Business Development for the largest pure-play MDR service in the galaxy. Grady, welcome to the Digital Trust Podcast.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it and look forward to the conversation.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So we love inviting experts like yourself onto this podcast. Maybe you can give us a quick lay of the land on just the experiences you've accumulated over the years in tech.
Well, no, I've been very lucky. What I mean by that is I have jumped both sides of the fence on development and technology, but technology always leads the way. What I mean by that is I helped start an e-commerce company where I stepped in and learned, lead by example, learned all the infrastructure and languaging, and then jumped into security and started leveraging more of that CISO role, that a CIO, IT director, and really I've done everything but HR, so I stay clear of that one. But a lot of technology and security focus.
That is a lot of different angles to view on an organization.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the blessing and the pain that I am. So because I have been that IT director, that CIO, that CISO, but at the same time I've been that person that built a company, so leveraging its spend and looking at the partnerships, but always wrapped in compliance and security, because I had a security firm where I did a lot of stuff for federal government as well as for NATO and stuff like that around, if anybody knows what a SCIF is, and security and tracking. I did a lot of that, and at the same time I also did AI. When I say AI, that machine learning, deep learning, endpoint security, and then also was lucky enough to sit in as a CIO or CISO, building out policies and InfoSec teams and security. And then I spent a time as a VP of product where I built hunting tools for security, specifically because it was a niche that was needed, a couple of years back when a lot of security tools weren't really out there. So I've been very lucky, and I very much always see things and connect the dots. It's all about the relationship and how to pull things together. So
yeah, that's pretty fascinating to be on the technology side, on the process side, but also on the people side. And so what I'm curious about for emerging IT leaders who would watch this podcast, what are your pieces of wisdom you've picked up over the years when it comes to building out these teams on the human side? How do you figure out who you want to work with, and how do you navigate doing change management within these organizations on the security levels, etc.?
Oh yeah, I mean that's always the interesting thing. So when you go in, like when I've gone into organizations to help out, I go in and kind of assess. The first thing is to figure out what you really have internally, because what you were said before you came aboard is never what it's like. So last place I was at, I was told it's going to be a very easy job, and I ended up merging 4 different companies. So I mean, my advice is to first go in and listen and talk to your team and see what their skill sets are compared to what their jobs are. A lot of times, especially in IT, people will be pulled into positions through acquisitions or kind of growing up where they haven't been getting any guidance. And what I mean by that is I'm a strong believer in mentoring. You've got to mentor your team to see where they're at and give them the direction. Because when you start doing that, you can get them to do that training. And a lot of the times when you take it internally to the company, it's hard to get training and get the monies for that. So that goes back to leverage your spend. Look at your vendors and look at the technology that you're doing. There's a lot of free training certifications that you can bring to your team from your vendors. And I really believe in leveraging the ecosystem. So that way, when you're assessing the team, you're giving them kind of directions. I always did a 30, 60, 90-day plan with each one of my people, and then I would refresh it at the end of every 90 days. So that way, IT is hectic. You're a customer services, you're going to have security issues, you're going to have things going on. If you don't give them a plan to kind of focus on and basic certifications, you can't stack a bunch of things on them, but make it where things is going to help them go towards their career, and it's going to help you out as well. Because as you do that, as you're growing, you can shift people into more management roles. Is certain people just like to be happy as the sysadmin? There's just, which way they're going, but at the same time, you can, it's conversational pieces and leveraging those. And especially with the IT team, you've got to do that. You've got to assess them. But every place I've been to, I've done that. And a lot of the people I've mentored are now CIOs and CISOs. So it also helps you build your network. So as you grow in an organization and become a VP of IT or CIO, you can actually bring the team back together. Or you can never be an expert on everything. So you'll have a team of relationships that you can go to, and these are trusted friends and buddies that will give you information on technology. They give you a recommendation on vendors. I mean, you've got to have, especially nowadays, it's very about tied together an ecosystem going on. So that's what I do a lot on the team side. So I can.
Yeah. What about on the, that's very good, Grady. What about on the change management side? So say you're wanting to implement a new technology, you're wanting to pull people rather than push people into it so they're not resenting you. What was your process to get people to buy in advance and kind of get their inputs early on so it's already decided by the time the implementation takes place?
Exactly. Well, no, definitely. What I do is kind of what I learned growing up. I'm one of 13 kids, so I was the middle child. So if I didn't learn how to negotiate and get everybody on my page, I didn't, I didn't eat or sleep or whatever. So what I do is I like to go in and see, again, assess what's going on, but also if you're looking to implement security, especially or new technologies, look at how to bring the managers together. What I mean by that is what I usually do is set up a compliancy board where different members from like sales, operations, different group are all on the board, but my team's running it, or I'm kind of coaching and running through that. But they meet once a quarter to talk about compliancy or risks. That way you're teaching the other managers on how to track those risks on an Excel spreadsheet. There's plenty of technology out there, you can do it as well, but you go over that, you're educating them, but you're also telling them, hey, we're looking at doing this piece to enforce this because of this risk. And as long as they understand that, then what you can do then is you look at the technology, but then also within IT, you work with your InfoSec team, or you update your policies to help align what you would need to do with changes, but also with the technology you got to push out there, because this way you have most of the managers written off on it. So when you're going for budget items, they already know about it, and they can help you get it across the board. But at the same time, policies in place. It's no longer IT or InfoSec being the bad guys or the cops. It's just policy. So you're just rolling those out, and it helps you roll this out quicker too. And not to mention you get feedback, and it also helps out what I call leapfrog is within IT. You'll get a call from accounting or from marketing going, hey, we just bought this technology, you need to support it now. So if you don't get in front of that, because another big issue is IT's never brought it to the table in those conversations. So if you can get ahead of it where you're being honestly a consultant almost internally, you're giving advice on what you need to do, or you're bringing them recommendations. Never be the person that says, hey, you have a problem here and you don't have an answer for them. So if you're going there saying, hey, I saw this online, it's for marketing, it might be something neat for you to check out, they're going to be like, oh, that's cool, can you set it up? So get in front of it, and that way you're controlling it. Not to mention for IT, it allows you to dip into their budget too, because if it's something that's focusing on them, it might be something you can get technology wise that's attached to their budget, not hitting your budget.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned something there that I was actually wanting to chat about, Grady. That's the gap between the IT department and the business. What are the steps that you took in your past roles to be able to actually get a seat at that table, and how would you walk maybe a younger up and coming IT practitioner, IT leader through that process to get a seat at the strategic decision making table?
Oh, definitely. So like first thing, and definitely set up the, like I said, compliancy group, but also look at the technology that they're supporting. For an example, a lot of companies now have software as a service, all right, that you're supporting, but they're on, let's say, AWS or Azure, but no one's managing that relationship. But you as an IT person are responsible for monitoring it, supporting it, buying licensing. Why aren't you reaching out to that Microsoft person for Azure that you're already talking to rep-wise and go, look, what is it going to take us to get credits in the back end or become more of a strategic partner on Microsoft that I can take back to the company? So I've gone through with Azure, for example, Microsoft, and got credits for development. I've introduced a development team on free engineers within Microsoft to allow the development of applications. There's a lot of programs and partner levels that you almost become an ISV in the back end as a company, but you're getting access and you're launching products. Those platforms want you to do that and leverage it. For an example, if you're a SaaS solution, you're on AWS, you get ISV and you become a MSP, you're actually getting credit for every time you're selling your own service because you're on that platform. You're getting a credit for it. And then what you can do down the road is be able to go to your clients and go, hey, you can buy us through the marketplace and you can actually go towards your commitment spend. But IT has stepped into that role where it's more about enablement and running those platforms and almost becoming strategic technical alliances, because a lot of companies don't have that strategy around the product or that spend. Even Salesforce does the same thing. You can do the same thing with Salesforce. Any of the core platforms are software offerings where you could get free training for your team. You can get, but it allows you to go to the table to executive group, go, look, I've got this credit free from the vendors. I've got training for the rest of the departments. Also, I got you a speaking engagement at AWS, whatever, to talk about it, because then it also introduces us to clients. So you can become that more piece to it. I mean, I've actually lowered IT budgets by leveraging the partners and becoming more of a profit center than a cost center within IT by leveraging those relations.
Yeah, I think that's a fascinating insight. It's got to be an epiphany to many IT leaders to realize that they're also in the business and that there is a budget, a profit and loss statement to manage to, and to highly trust their vendors. We're on a digital trust podcast, of course. Like, how do you trust your vendors with what training, with resources, etc., and make their business outcome your business outcome? And that takes a whole nother level of social and business IQ. And that's a fascinating insight there. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Great, Grady. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have to land the plane and wrap things up, but we definitely need to have you on again soon. That was an awesome conversation. I know there's more floating around in the cloud above your head, and we want to pull on some of those
I've got comments
threads.
for everything, man. So I'm here for you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And Zach and I will be back to wrap things up in a minute.
Awesome. Thank you, Grady.
Thanks, Grady. All right, Zach, what did you think about that conversation with Grady? He's pretty phenomenal, and I think that cloud represents a fraction of what's going on in his mind and the experience under his belt. Hey,
that's right. It's not often you meet with well-experienced practitioners that you feel like you could go in 100 different directions with. And I think my biggest takeaway, I'm going to put some words in his mouth. It reminded me of a Richard Branson quote, which is, train your people or their next employer will.
Right.
And there's this idea that, like, well, if I'm going to invest so much in folks on my team, what if they leave? Well, Grady's point is, awesome, they leave because you now have a network. He says he's trained a number of CIOs and CISOs over the years, and he's built a network in such a way that he has trusted advisors in every industry, in every geography, to this day. And it just continues to help his career and the companies he works for. And I think that's a pretty amazing long view approach to the security industry.
It doesn't sound like he's burned any or many bridges in his career. And I mean, CIO, IT director, VP of product, CISO, now director of business development. So lots of different hats that he's been able to.
And he also had a tremendous amount of trust with his teams over time. He trusted that if he worked with them, that they would all row in the same direction.
Yeah. I also like the fact of him building consensus with the compliance committee on future change initiatives, future technology implementations, getting the buy-in first, so it's not such a traumatic, resentful experience on the team. So he's got some people skills. So IT practitioners, IT leaders, learn from this man, follow in his footsteps. He's a good role model.
Absolutely.
All right. And special thanks to our viewers and listeners for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next episode.
There you go.
Thanks for joining us today on the Digital Trust Podcast. If you found this conversation helpful, please share it with someone you care about. And if you'd like to receive our monthly newsletter, please click the link in the description to subscribe. And to put your mind at ease, our newsletter will include episode summaries with key points and actionable takeaways, plus a heads up on the upcoming episode guests. Rest assured, it won't be a spammy sales message, and we will never sell or share your information. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode.